Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of my wonderful and beautiful little subscribers out there. And how I love you all so, and I hope that you're all super duper well, super duper wonderful, and super duper delicious. And the life is treating you most deliciously. So what do we do? Three, two, one, my juicy little lights. Thank you, little lights. You're delicious and bright. Yes, they are delicious and bright, aren't they, my delicious little babies? Now then, so it's nearly 2:45 in our old afternoon in our old England, my delicious little babies. There is some blue sky and the sun has got his hat on. Hip, 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 hooray. Okay. And yeah, there's some not so very nice white fluffy clouds in the sky as well, my delicious little babies. A little bit windy, but it's not that bad. Okay, my delicious little babies, that doesn't mean no. Now then, my delicious little babies, so I've got, how many have I got today? So I've got 4 videos to you today, my delicious little babies. I just want to let you know, because my beautiful little baby brother, he always sends me a little quote, every day. For those of you, my delicious little babies, who take the time to listen to my videos, because not many do, to be honest, okay, because my videos do not get out. So really that's the way it is, really. Okay, my delicious little babies. But you will already know this. But the quote that he sent today, my delicious little baby, sometimes it's longer and sometimes it's shorter, okay? Because my dear little baby brother, bless him, how I love him, sir, okay? He's very much into God, and, he's spiritual in that way, okay? My delicious little baby, so bless him. So this one, I wrote it down. I just for a reason to write it down. This is Isa 22.22. He is the Almighty. When he opens your door of blessings, no one will shut it. Okay, my delicious little baby, so I'm just going to repeat that for you, shall I? Isa 22.22. He is the Almighty. When he opens your door of blessings, no one will shut it. Okay, my delicious little baby. So I just wanted to share that with you now then. So thank you, my beautiful little baby brother. Bless you. Now then, so what have I got here? Right, so what's been going on? So this is Jeff Taylor. Now, I haven't advertised Jeff Taylor for a long time now. Okay, my delicious little babies. These are all on YouTube, my delicious little babies can. And he's now up to 255,000 subscribers, my delicious little babies. So it's capital J, should anybody, have any form of an interest, never needed to stumble there. Jeff, Jeff space capital T Taylor. Jeff space Taylor. Okay, my delicious little babies. And I think this was yesterday, wasn't it? Live privacy. And this is to do with the school lockdown over migrants. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? Now then, I actually put in brackets underneath America, because what they did many, many, many years ago is they used to train the little wee young bairns, bless them, and they used to train them to go under the tables, in case there was something happening, my delicious little babies. Well, this was in our old England, my delicious little babies, okay? This is, please do not get me wrong. Even if we go back decades ago, you're going to find that there's been situations where, somebody's hanging around outside the school or something like this, my delicious little baby as well. Sorry, excuse me. Well, you'd need to, especially if you was a teacher and everything, or a mummy or daddy or auntie or uncle, or foster, carer, you know, to keep an eye on things, you see what I mean, okay? So for the school to be locked down, there we are. I would see, please do not, please do not get me wrong. I never needed to stumble there either. Of course, to protect the little babies is the most, there we are, important thing to do. We all know this. It's ding, ding, dong, dong, common sense. But to go as far as locking the school down, okay, so I'd like to, there we are, just to leave that with you, for you to spare, ding, ding, dong, dong, your thoughts, okay, my delicious little babies, okay? From where I'm sat, okay, this is not against the Americans. No, it's not, okay? I do have a lot to say, there we are, about the putrid government. There we are, yes, I do, okay? But not against the Americans themselves. What's the point that I'm making? The point is, it appears to myself that there's too much from America, born in the USA, coming to our old, there we are, England, my delicious little babies. Now, at one time, ones used to call, a protest or whatever they used to call it, a walk. I don't know. Some would call it a march. Somebody would call it a walk. Somebody else, somebody would call it a protest. And then it got into there we are, the rallies. Well, we're not in America, my delicious little babies. We're in our old England. There we are. Okay, so really, I feel, there we are, that these are all very important, my delicious little babies, okay? Because this is how our country, there we are, has been changing over the years. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now then, the next one, my delicious little babies. Sorry, do forgive me. There is one on Substack. My apologies, okay? Substack. So you can search engine of your choice, my delicious little babies, if you're not already on it. So you can type in Substack. Okay, my delicious little babies, and then it's all orange. There's lots of orange. And then it'll, say, install and then open. Do you see what I mean? And then you're on Substack, my delicious little babies. There's lots of different, there we are, uploaders to take a look at, any subject, there we are, that you're into, my delicious little babies. There's so much there, there we are, and it's absolutely banging, actually, there we are. I really happen to love Substack, okay, my delicious little babies. That's me personally, okay? I used to love still do, actually, if I could watch it again, my lovely BitChute, you know what I mean? Anyway, anyway, this particular video here was the 17th of the 9th this year, 2025, my delicious little babies, because today we're on the 19th of the 9th, 2025. And this video is only just over 5 minutes long, my delicious little babies, okay? It's just that I haven't done a video in a few days, you see what I mean? Anyway, and it should read, what the Genius Act will bring soon. Yes, my delicious little babies, what the Genius Act will bring soon. Yeah. You see, this situation, my delicious little babies, is not getting any better, I do not feel, okay? But as we said, it's going to get worse, before it gets better. My delicious little babies, sadly, okay? But I would really strongly, there we are, suggest that you please and thank you, if you can, take time to have a little listen to that if you can. If you cannot get on Substack for any reason, you can find it on our lovely, and with anybody not in that way, our lovely David Ark, first and last name of our lovely Davids.com. Okay, my delicious little babies, and then you will be able to find it on there. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay. And then, it's a case of keeping yourself very up to date. As regards to Jeff Taylor, that was over an hour long. He was talking to his friend Richard. Okay, my delicious little babies. So there's lots going on, to keep one's entertained. There we are, shall we say, my delicious little babies, okay? Now, the next one, my delicious little babies. This uploader, this is back to YouTube now, my delicious little babies, okay? happens to have 61.1 thousand subscribers, my delicious little babies. I happened to see this yesterday. And this is called Capital Care. These are all capitals. Okay, my delicious little babies. CAB. So it's KAB, and then another B, space, Fox, and then a space. So that's all capitals there, my delicious babies. But when you do the space and then S for San, it's a capital S, lowercase a-n, and then space, capital A, Antonia. Okay, my delicious babies, that's the uploader. Cab, Fox, San Antonio. It should read once typed into the old space bar in YouTube, my delicious babies. This, to be honest, there's a couple here that, that will be just one-offs that I advertise. There we are, my delicious little babies, okay? And the video should read, and this is just over 20 minutes long. For some of you, my delicious little babies, you would have already seen it. For others, my delicious little babies, you may not have done. Live now, President Trump, UK, PM Starmer press conference. Yes, my delicious little babies, so I'm just going to repeat that again for you, shall I? Live now, President Trump, UK, PM Starmer press conference. Okay, my delicious little babies, now then. Well, when you looked at it, you could clearly see that both of them, there we are, have been bought. There we are, it's very clear to see. And if you looked at the table, you'll find that Starmer had a glass of water, but then you'll find on the corner, Trouble Trump, he had, excuse me once again, a glass of water with a lid on it. My delicious little babies, really strange. There we are. Do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies? One without a lid and one with a lid on it. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? Anyway, isn't it amazing, my delicious little babies, how they seem to... See, I'm stumbling here. There we are, for a reason. They seem to bring these things in, or they seem to tell us what they're going to be doing, but they do not ask anybody. So what they do is they tell us what they're going to be doing, my delicious little babies, Kai, but they do not inform us, you or I, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? I personally thought it was pretty, there we are, disgusting to watch. There we are, actually, my delicious little babies, Kai. Not to mention them going for their posh, they're stuck up evening meal, my delicious little babies, okay, when we've got war veterans and we've got other homeless through one circumstance or another, my delicious little babies, okay, on the streets, homeless, bless them, okay, my delicious little babies, okay, and of course, because that was my thought straight away. Anyway, I thought this for years. There we are. It's not just now, my delicious little babies. This is, I'm talking years and years and years ago, okay? So how much would that meal have cost for everybody? The flower arrangement, and all this flipping shebang. Okay, my delicious little babies, when we've got ones in our country as well, families where they're struggling to keep up with bills and food and there we are, and everything like this now then, and there they are, all in their evening gear, shall we say, my delicious little babies, to all sit down, okay, and there we are, make decisions about our future, okay, my delicious little babies, okay, but they do it blatantly in our birth, there we are, in our birth races. They're doing it in our birth races, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I mean? For myself, there we are. This is taking the complete effing pee, man. There we are. That is what this is. My delicious little babies. Do you see what I mean? So, if I say anything else, my delicious little babies, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to get really, there we are, very vexed and annoyed about it. So I feel right now, I did do a video yesterday, but then I deleted it because maybe I was a bit, there we are, shall we just say, too angry. My delicious little baby Sky. So it's better for myself now to just stum. Okay, my delicious little baby Sky, because I just get very, very angry and annoyed when I see how they're taking a complete pee out of you and I. There we are, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I'm saying, okay? In the whole of our old England, my delicious little babies, okay? So I'm going to leave it there. Now then, my delicious little babies, okay? So we've done Greg Reese, bless him. And with anybody not in that way, not in that way. Because I do advertise Greg sometimes as well, my delicious little babies. He's very good, actually, he's Greg Reese. Now this one here, my delicious little babies. Oh, sorry. Excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. Oh yeah, that's what I want to say. So I was out and about today, my delicious little babies, popped to the shops, and there's someone, came in. He said, oh, he's I think he's down here visiting my delicious little babies, and he happened to say, oh, he said, that Brummyland, where I come from, my delicious little babies, he said that he called it a shart, SHRT, hole. My delicious little babies. So that's what he called it. I said, oh. I said, so you do not like Birmingham then? He said, no, he said it's a SHRT hole. I mean, he's pleasant with it, that's what he said. And he says Scotland, he said, is far better. I said, oh, is it? He said, yes. He said, he's from Edinburgh. I said, oh. I said, that's where they say the true, words to effect, they should say true royalty, and that is, anyway. And I said to him, I said, but there's parts of Scotland, isn't there? I said, which is not so nice. I said, like Glasgow. I said, I know all about that. I know to do with other things to do with Glasgow over, there we are, the decades, my delicious little babies, put it that way. So I said, so that's, and he went, oh yes, he said, well, that's rough over there. Okay? But I thought, okay, that's your view. You know what I mean? It's full of a cold, mind you. Probably took the flipping jibby jab. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies, Kai? There's an awful lot who've got colds at the moment, my delicious little babies. Some, that doesn't mean no. Some who have very sadly taken, and for others, they have not. Okay, my delicious little babies, Kai? Yeah, but he was full of a cold. Yeah. So, that was part of the conversation. But for myself personally, I do not have anything against anybody, okay? But for myself, I've probably only met a few Scottish in my time. There we are, who I feel have been decent. For the rest of them, I just found the majority of them, there we are, to be rather verbally aggressive, just very aggressive. Do you know what I mean? That's just my feelings, my delicious little babies. I've got nothing against, you know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure that Edinburgh, and all these other places now, I'm pretty sure they're all very nice. At the end of the day, well, there's actually very nice parts of Birmingham as well, my delicious little babies. So, he cannot maybe just go to one place and then just call it a shithole, do you know what I mean? When there's other places here, there we are, that is absolutely beautiful. Do you see what I mean? Okay, so anyway, we shall agree to disagree. But I never said to himself, that I thought Edinburgh was, I just said, I'm sure it's very nice there. Do you understand what I mean? But I had to get that part in. But, Glasgow isn't so nice, is it? So don't make out to myself that the whole of Scotland is, a hunky-dory tickety-boo when it's clearly not, and haven't, and there we are for decades. Put it that way, my delicious, there we are, little babies, okay. So just thought I'd mention it. Anyway, let's wish him well on his journey, shall we? Now then, my delicious little babies. So this one here, This uploader happens to have 145 subscribers, my delicious little babies. And this, I'm going to have to spell it out for you because I'm not sure how to pronounce this particular word. Capital T, my delicious little babies. Then the rest is lowercase. O, U for umbrella, W for Walter. So it's T for Tango, O for Oscar, U for umbrella, and W for Walter. Yeah, somebody had got rid of an umbrella the other day, you know, like for the bin men. And what did he say on it? It wasn't quite all working. It was a black and silver. What was it? Turkish. Okay, my delicious little babies. Anyway, now it just came into my noddle. There we are, just out there. Anyway, I don't know how you're spelling it. To you. I don't know, my delicious babies. I'm not taking the mickey out the uploader, you know, their name. No, I'm not. It's just I really find that very difficult to pronounce. To sorry, my delicious babies. I just cannot. I don't know. You know, maybe you know how to pronounce it, my delicious babies, but I do not. It's to you. Woo. I don't know, marvellous babies. But like I said, I'm not taking Mickey out the name or anything. You know what I mean? Anyway, I've just spelled it. Then a space, capital V, van. Then a space, then capital A, Allah. Okay, marvellous babies. So, you know, that's, I'm not going to repeat it again, marvellous babies. Van Allah. Okay, marvellous babies. And you know the start of it, TOUW. Okay. Yeah, just over 9 minutes long, my delicious little babies. Yeah, come back up on my feed, my delicious little babies. Look at that. Best of Shahid Bolson. Okay, my delicious little babies. Yeah, we like Shahid. Not in that way. We like Shahid, bless him. Okay, and what it was, you had that doesn't mean I just got an itch. You had what was it? Jordan Peterson. You know, because he does cry a lot. Anyway, he just appears to be a very emotional man, but he seems to have gone to the other side a lot. There we are, very long time ago. My delicious babies, maybe to keep his license, and do as he's told. There we are. Do you know what I mean? To follow the leaders, okay. Whereas at one time, he was actually a decent man, from what I could see. But it's amazing the changes. Okay, my delicious little babies. And let me tell you, Shahid, I mentioned to do with Shahid before, my delicious little babies car. Let me tell you, it doesn't ramp. Just going over the letters, my delicious little babies. He just tells it, there we are, the way it is. And you know what? I loved it that much. Like I said, not in that way. I loved it that much that I listened to it 3 times. There we are. When I really enjoy a video, my delicious little babies, there we are, I will listen to it more than once. Okay. And yeah, and there we are. He tells it the way it is. Because if you really look at it, okay, so I took everything off. I'm going to close my book because we need to go back to where we need to go back to, my delicious little babies. Anyway, so, yeah, so the thing is, my delicious little babies, is that it's absolutely true. I thought this, there we are, for you. See, if it wasn't a case where, because it's not you and I personally, and it's not others, well, apart from the ones who get brainwashed to go in the army. You're in the army now. My delicious little babies, but, apart from those, okay, they were totally brainwashed. For the rest of us, this is nothing to do with us. But yet, there we are, the countries just get bombed. They just, I mean, today I was looking at our lovely UK column, like I said, with anybody not in that way. They're up to 18.5 thousand subscribers, my delicious little babies. Look at that, isn't numbers going up? But they prefer if you please go on the actual website, UK space column. Okay, Mardelistic Babies, if you could please, and thank you. And, you know, I was looking at a small video, you know, of that lovely sea, you know, in Gaza. In Gaza, yeah. That lovely sea. But then you see all that going on, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? And you know that it's all about ching, ching, ching. And of course, they've done it in other countries anyway, which is disgusting. And then, of course, you know, then they come over to other countries. But it is absolutely correct, you know, with Gaza. They do not want to move from their domain. They want to stay. There we are, where they are. And rightfully so. But if you really listen to Shahid Bolson, you know, there we are. Your man there talks, there we are, damn well common sense. Because like other countries, I mean, it's true, isn't it? They've been, you know, invaded. They've had everything stolen from them. You know, then they've been left in, there we are, the den of inequity. Do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies? It's absolutely disgusting. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, anyway, and then you've got trending on Iconic. Okay, my delicious little babies on old YouTube. They're now up to 11,000 subscribers, my delicious little babies. I've been listening as well because it's like things just come back up on your feed. You know, after, I don't know, a long time. You know, mind you, it could be something to do with, that doesn't mean no, it could be as well, maybe to do with something, you know, to do with YouTube, where they, you know, they put different things up at different times. There we are, my delicious little babies. It's really strange what I'm getting across to you, ma. There we are, delicious little babies, if you follow me. So, yeah. Oh, and very finally, yes, so we got our lovely trending on Iconic, not in that way, not in that way, but no, you know, so we got our lovely uploaders, care my delicious little babies, but yeah, I just think the whole lot's sad, really. I really do. You know what I mean? So that's it really, my delicious little babies. That's the end of the video. I just feel that everybody should live in peace, love and harmony, really. You know what I mean, my delicious little babies? You know, nobody should have to, you know, leave their home at all, should they? Really? You know, if somebody wants to leave through genuine reasons or whatever it is, yes, but nobody should be forced out of their home, should they, Martin? Oh, that's one last thing I want to talk about. I was looking at our lovely Not In That Way, Not In That Way, because they're all lovely. Anybody who I advertise, Martin, but like I said, you are going to have somewhere it's only one-offs that I'm advertising Martin Babies, because I like to advertise me regular usual who I listen to, my delicious babies, and I do it. There we are. I do it all as a hobby, okay, my delicious babies, and I absolutely feel no way. I'm very happy to do that. Okay. I was looking at our lovely on YouTube, my delicious babies. He's now up to 528,000 subscribers, my delicious babies. Lovely. That doesn't mean no. Neil space McCoy space Ward. Yeah, and he was showing about Cornwall. You know, I was so angry when I seen, you know, you looked at all of those beautiful old buildings and, you know, because it was very much mining over there and everything, okay, so they could look after themselves, you know, they were very wealthy. And to see how it turned out. And of course, you've never seen in your life so many, well, I have, because I live in Bromleyland, my delicious babies, believe you me, there is one everywhere. Barbers everywhere, my delicious babies, you know, to go and get your hair cut, your wig cut, my delicious babies, you know what I mean? But we all know, come on, there we are. Everybody knows, you know, out of how many, there's only going to probably be one or two, there we are, who are absolutely genuine. For the rest, I'd say no. It's just the front, isn't it? You got the front to the shop, And then you've got other business that goes on behind my delicious little babies, do you know what I mean? Okay. But it was just really annoying and angering to see my delicious little babies, you know, how a beautiful place like that, they can just let it run down the way they did. But they've done it, you know, in parts of Birmingham, my delicious babies. Like I said, we've got many parts which are beautiful, okay? And then you've got other parts where they just allowed it to. But I believe, there we are, my delicious babies. They've done it, there we are, all by design. That's how they've done it, okay? Because really, in reality, there we are. They want to put everybody in, there we are, the den of inequity. Do you understand what I mean? That's how they want ones to be. And they want ones to be depressed, down, you know, not feeling like even where they live, you know, should be have it maintained and kept lovely. Honestly, it was just so angering to see. It really, really was, Martin. Anyway, so that's the end of my video, my delicious little babies. I'm not really sure I was really in the mood for a video today, really, my delicious little babies. I really do not feel I was, really, you know what I mean? Because, you know, sometimes, you know, you just need to, otherwise you're just going to go stir crazy, my delicious little babies. Do you understand what I mean? And yeah, thank you, little lads. Yeah, so that's it. So wherever you are in the world, whether it's morning, afternoon or evening, please have a super duper delicious time. You only get one life, my little honey bunnies. Sending peace, love, harmony and bright blessings to each and every one of you. And may your beautiful little selves and your beautiful little families, may you all be fully protected. And how I love you all so, okay? Yeah, it's just getting more and more and more difficult. And I just feel as though, you know, thank you to anybody, you know, who listens to my videos, if you do, but I don't know. I'm getting to the stage at the moment, you know, shall I even carry on doing my videos on YouTube? I don't know. I don't know, my delicious little babies, anyway, because it's just not getting out. And then you got other channels, you know, my delicious little babies, where, you know, and other uploaders, bless them, you know, their videos just do not get that reach either, my delicious little babies can. So some days I just feel like I'm talking to my damn self, you know what I mean? My delicious little babies. That's how it gets you. You know what I mean? So I did say, actually, I was going to go on to another one. I've still got to sort that out, actually. I still haven't got round to it, my delicious little babies. I will do, though. There we are, I will do. But of course, it's nowhere near as large as YouTube. That's the thing, my delicious little babies. And I do not want to go on to Twitter. I do not want to go on to there either, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? So it leaves you with others, but like I said, the reach is just not, it just doesn't go out the way, there we are, the way it should do, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, and that's the very last thing I wanted to say, yeah. They're trying to do now, aren't they? I said I wouldn't mention it again, but Charlie Kirk, you know, because they kept the story going, didn't they, when they were doing other things. There we are, behind the curtains, there we are, my delicious little babies, do you see what I mean? Yes. And now they want like it's, you know, open close. I actually feel, my delicious little babies, that the reason why they've done that is because, there we are, they know as well that whereas at one time you would have, let's just say, a colossal large number around the world where they would believe every damn thing that there was said to them. But they've come to realise that this is not the case at all. So ones are just not believing it. I'm looking at all different channels and they are all doing the same thing now. So what's happening is that they're questioning, there we are, absolutely, there we are, everything. So what they're trying to do is trying to shushy just to, you know, stop everybody talking about it. Well, the thing is, the lid's off, isn't it? There we are, the lid's off. So in ones, there we are, start to question, do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies, okay? It just gets, there we are, worse. That's why we've got the whole point of having the censorship in the first place. You know what I mean? Because what they want to keep a lid on about, there we are, is already lid off. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? There we are, and that's it. So really, for what they're doing, they're just making, I just feel, myself, there we are, matters worse. Because if everyone, and that doesn't mean no, just got another itch, you know, because if everybody could just speak up and say what they've got to say, then I feel it would be a lot better. But of course, when you're trying to do an open and shut case, well, what does that do? That makes more, there we are, curious, there we are, inquisitive, they want to know. You like imagine a little young Ben, yes? If you say to a little young Ben, I'm using an example, if you say, please do not go in the cupboard, okay? And they say, well, why, Mummy, why, Daddy? No, you're not to go in the cupboard. What will they do? They'll do the opposite, there we are, of what you want them to do. So when you're not looking, or when they think that the coast is clear, you know, if they can prise the door open, there we are, then they will. Because that's little Ben's you, isn't it? You know, everybody must have known a little Ben, you know what I mean? Because they're curious, they want to know, well, why can I not look in the cupboard? Do you see what I mean? There could be, I don't know, you know, the fake Crimbo, there could be toys in there that are wrapped up or something like that, and Mummy and Daddy do not want them to go in the cupboard. Do you understand what I mean? To see everything wrapped up, because it spoils the surprise. Do you see what I mean? Okay, so I'm using it as an example, my delicious babies, okay? Well, it's the same thing now. So to try and do the open and shut case, my delicious babies, what is it doing? You have to ask yourself a question. All it's doing is making ones even more. I'm not calling everybody toddlers. No, I'm not. But you've got to see it's that, you know, you go back to, do you understand? I know what I'm talking about. Do you know what I mean? So even though when we were little, you know, they said, but really as adults, there we are, we still have that. If somebody says to us not to do something, then you question it even more, don't you, Martin? There we are. And that's what's happening. So really, it starts off like a little tiny snowball, and then it's just getting, there we are, larger and larger and larger. Do you see what I mean, Martin? Of course, and we can see that, you know, because their ship is sinking, you know, with the old mainstream now, with the putrid. They're not journalists, they're piece of effing sharp, man. Well, the fact of the matter is, so that's sinking. So they're, you know, they're moving over. You know, they did it with GB News anyway. Not that I want to advertise them because they're a crock of shit. Yes, they are. And they do not tell the truth fully. Anyway, the fact that they haven't done long time since when they first started. The fact of the matter is, Martin babies, that yeah, they're moving everything over to, because what they're trying to do, there we are, they're trying to keep up as well, Martin babies, but you know, I'm talking about the ones who own all of the television, there we are, networks and everything, Martin babies, you know what I mean? They're trying to keep up with the times themselves, you see what I mean? And they're trying to like make it look like, oh, you know, one of us, until they start to get their subscribers and their followers, you know, then one see what they damn well are, do you see what I mean? And that's, there we are, how they do things, you see. So, you know, when you can see, there we are, like I can, and there's many others who can, you know what I mean? I mean, the way I look at it is nobody believes that bullshit, and nobody believes that young lad did that shooting, that crime. No, they do not. You know what I mean, Martin? So they've opened something, not realising, you know, there we are, that one's, it's a bit like having a bone, you know, there we are, they're just not going to let go. Do you see what I mean, Martin? Babies? That's from what I can see, there we are, a different uploaders, Martin babies, okay? There we are, way too many questioning, okay? But it's also very interesting to see, Martin babies, and this is what I'm going to end on. It's also very interesting to see, my delicious babies, how many what are they called? Experts. Do you know what I mean, my delicious babies? All giving their different take on what they feel happened on that fateful day. My delicious babies, do you see what I mean? It's very interesting when you're getting all different takes from different videos, my delicious babies. And there we are. I've looked at rather there we are, a large number at this moment in time. It's just amazing, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? What ones are coming out with and what they're saying, and yeah, it's just amazing. I mean, you probably would have had exactly the same, you know, in John Lennon's day, you know, but he was an activist, wasn't it? You know what I mean? He just was not a very happy bunny at all. He could not stand the putrid government, you know what I mean? mind you. For the majority of us, you do have some others who do have them, but for the majority of us, there we are. We too cannot stand our putrid governments in our country and all over the world. Do you know what I mean? Martylish babies anyway. But yes, ones would have talked, but they wouldn't have had, say, all of the tools now, like let's just say as large as it is on social media. That's what I mean by that, martylistic babies. Do you understand what I mean? That's what I'm talking about, okay? So really, if you look at it, these, with what they've done, I do not mean this in literal terms, martylistic babies, it's figure of speech, but really it's all backfiring, isn't it? You know what I mean, okay? Then that's why I see it, and with more and more the things that they do, there we are, it just backfires on them. Do you see what I mean, okay? So yes, ones may have created the internet and that martylistic babies, but the fact of the matter is, okay, is that that's what I say, you see, when you work it back against who it is, there we are, do you know what I mean? Okay, this is where it goes. So it's going to be very interesting to continue to see my delicious little babies, if you follow me, yes. Okay. So you just take care. Thank you so very much. I'm not going to ramble on anymore, okay? Take care. Love ya. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.